Hey guys, we'll get started in just a minute or two. Dev, why don't you talk for a moment?
I am very, very sleepy, and I am also very hungry. I
Okay.
want a strawberry parfait.
AR, if you're able to, try talking.
See if this works. My internet's been off and on all day, so it
Yeah,
seems to decided like right now is the time to go off again, so this could be interesting.
yeah. Well, what we'll do is
And this isn't even this isn't even the router. This is the modem that seems to be the issue.
yeah, so
Like this is on a wired connection.
yeah. Well, what we'll do is we'll start and we'll mention something at the beginning if need be. You can always just eject yourself.
Yeah, thankfully there's not that much. I don't really have much to contribute for the questions and stuff, so
Yeah.
if I can get through the episode discussion, that'll be the bulk of what I have to contribute for this one. So
Perfect episode to decide to mute you randomly in the middle of the talking, isn't it?
it really is, yeah, yeah.
Okay, let's go ahead and get started then.
Although I did have something to plug this time, so that'll be a shame if I can't.
Well, I'll put it in the notes regardless as long as you remind me. Okay. Welcome to the podcast. We're here to entertain and inform a bit while talking about Digimon. I'm Mark, run with the will.
I'm Mayor Pulver, and I may or may not have internet today.
I'm DevQ, and I was having those problems yesterday.
I've had none of those problems, although I did wake up with literal dirt in my eye this morning, which is a pleasant way to wake up. AR is having some fun internet issues, so he may decide to eject himself partway through the episode.
I'm debating the pros and cons on whether it's better or worse to have internet problems on a Monday versus on a Sunday, because on a Sunday you lose all the streaming abilities that you'd normally have for a lazy Sunday. On Monday, we work from home, so it affects the how we make money.
Yeah, that's a tough call.
Money.
Now, have your internet problems today been complete or just upload type stuff?
It's complete.
Oh, so it's the fun, like up and down doesn't work. Yeah, fun. Let's go ahead and go to the episode just so we can
Yeah,
hopefully.
it'll go for a little bit, it'll slow, and then it'll stop, and then
Yeah, we'll go ahead and jump to the episode in the hopes that AR's internet hanging
shame this
by.
isn't an episode involving a Diablomon.
That would
It's
have been fitting.
episode
If I don't
35,
if I don't last until if I don't last until the end, this episode was good but frustrating.
just like your internet.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
episode
Yeah.
35, The Glowing Angewomon. I really do not like the translation of that title. I know we joked about last week, but it really does not come across that well. Even there's been iffy things in the show, and it feels that one in particular feels iffy though.
It's like they just put it through ancient Babelfish and said,
Still,
good enough.
Oh no, it is an accurate translation. It just doesn't
But
fit
it's a
quite right.
shitty accurate translation.
I mean,
I,
to be fair, that is Bandai and
I still like it.
Toei's.
I still
That
like it better than Hikari of the Dawn.
yeah, I will agree with you on that. How much? The first thing I'm trying to think about is the ultimate cheat they did at the beginning, which is, hey, we can all do stuff underwater now thanks to Marine Angemon.
Yeah.
It's kind of nice in the sense that it gives them a little more flexibility. At the same time, those constraints are part of what makes underwater settings so interesting. Like trying to get around the fact that you can't breathe is half the fun of being underwater.
Yeah, but
I just have the sonic drowning noise playing in my head.
But also when the water-related Digimon isn't there, you can't actually do much in the way of stuff with it. So it's 100% a cheat. I can understand why they did it.
Well, it didn't.
Yeah, I think you're cutting out and gone.
Yeah, I think I am too.
Yeah, I think AR, give us your
I'll
give
listen as long
yeah,
as I can.
yeah. So overall, Dev, good episode, but it feels it. The problem is it was never going to compete with Angewomon in Adventure, even
It
though
just felt so lazy.
it did. It was still generally good, but they did some interesting things. But the problem is I don't. I think the thing that made it weirdest for me was the oh look, it's a new Devimon and no one mentions that or doesn't mean anything.
And it just
I
literally just like stands there menacingly while Greymon and Tailmon are having this little issue. It's just not really doing anything.
To be fair, I think Marine Devimon's done that before in shows where he's just sort of there, and I don't actually remember him doing much other than being menacing. I think, but yeah. Um, so we get the Dark Knightmon and Tailmon stuff, and they revealed that it's Tailmon's actress underneath the voice modulation, which I will say it really did sound just like a mechanical artificial voice with how much they modulated it. So it was neat to find out there actually was an actor under there.
Yeah, and also the reason why they did that to begin with, like, oh, that's actually hilarious.
Yeah, the interesting thing there, and I know AR 100% did not like that, and it wouldn't be fair to not point out that he really didn't like that reveal, which is that they made the initial connection by kind of just looking at Digimon that Tailmon had some connection with when they're looking for Dark Digimon. And the Tailmon Digimemory came with the Dark Knightmon Crosswords figure, and that's what inspired that connection. I know he's not happy with it because,
Well,
yeah, go ahead.
I'm still here.
Yeah, oh, I know you are,
I'm
but
giving it a try.
yeah.
I'm running a speed test to see if the speed test is turning out just fine. My big frustration with that is that they admitted it.
Well, no,
Like,
see,
if you're
see,
gonna do something,
I'm not.
if you're
Sorry.
gonna do something random, just don't tell people that you're doing stuff for the fun for no good reason. Like, just let
See,
people speculate, and if they come up with a good reason for you, just nod your head and say, yeah, that's what we intended all along.
I
Well, actually,
disagree.
it's the
I disagree with
second
that
time
for
they've
one
done
reason.
that.
I disagree with that for one reason. The reason why is if everyone was just in love with everything in the show, then that would be the neat little Easter egg that everyone's like, oh, they got something from an old toy. That's something that everyone loves almost any time, except for when they're not having fun with the show, in which case it's proof of laziness. Which happens throughout franchise movies and TV shows where something like that comes across basically exactly with how you're feeling about the show. So I'm not really that bothered by it, minus that it might come across a bit weird just because of how relevant Dark Knightmon was in that show. That's maybe the only place where it kind of falls flat is that. But I
If
think
if there was if there was a real connection, then I'd be a little more okay with it. But no, this is just random happenstance,
no, see,
and it's like
I'm perfectly happy with that though because okay, she's gonna be a dark Digimon when she's introduced. Who's it gonna be? When there isn't necessarily meant to be a lore of okay, it's gonna be Ophanimon fall down mode. It's gonna be Lady Devimon. It's just meant to be a hulking, punching, battling Digimon.
Well,
in
also,
Who?
that
I remember
instance, I
they also
honestly
did
would
with
have.
the Hunters because Betsumon cosplayed as Dark Knightmon.
That's true.
I actually completely
Honestly, I
forgot
would
about
have.
that.
In that instance, I honestly would have preferred they just had a new Digimon in that role.
But I think that kind of role is the idea is to show off and have it be someone who's recognizable to fans because to kids they don't care. It's someone new that they're unfamiliar with regardless. So that is where you stick in someone that a fan would recognize. At least that's what I think you do in a case like that. But I can also understand people being very frustrated with that. Although I won't accept people being frustrated that Dark Male Dramon wasn't anything. At no point did I ever think that Digimon was meant to be anything.
I mean, I'm kind
There
of
was
sad because I was
they
hoping
never
to be another
gave us.
kitty.
I mean, it would have been fun if they did, but they never actually gave us any evidence that anything to suggest that it would. So no, they didn't do anything wrong with Dark Male.
Yeah. But we get the I guess you'd call it the shadow of Dark Knightmon, which that was a neat scene, and that's where I'm torn. Where like doing it with Hikari's fine, but it kind of didn't have enough setup to make that feel quite right, and then it's sort of just done.
Yeah, that was my big frustration with the episode. Like, I like the overall direction of what they did with Tailmon. It just all happened too fast. Like, this is something they could have strung along over the course of a few episodes.
I think I would have been fine with it if we had some clue of it last week. If something had shown up there, I probably would have been more inclined to just ignore it. But here it's just all
But that's what
contained
I
to
mean
one.
Yeah, but that's what I mean is containing it to one really diminishes the impact of what they were going for. Like, this is one of the more the idea is one of the more interesting things they've done so far, and containing it to one episode feels like they're kind of wasting it.
Well, the only joke would be is that we already got it over multiple episodes with Try.
I was gonna say Frontier. This is kind of a Koichi situation.
Yeah.
I get. Yeah, you're not wrong there, but yeah. So overall, we're all generally happy with it, but it shows those cracks that feel like they keep building up.
Mm-hmm.
And then the evolution sequence was kind of meh.
You know what bothered me the most was that at the very beginning, when the ring thing starts, it almost felt like we were gonna jump into something nice, and I was sitting there wondering if it was gonna be, and just nope. It was interesting looking, but we kind of discussed it last week. This kind of felt like the time when it really would have behooved them to go ahead and gone with a stupid nice one.
I mean, Tokomon to Patamon was a nicer evolution sequence.
Nah.
It was a more fun evolution sequence.
Yes, it was more
I
fun.
wouldn't necessarily it was nicer, but it was a lot of fun.
Yeah, I will agree with that. And then next week, Koshiro's back, and everyone is very, very much trying to decide if they're teasing Blitzgreymon or not.
I think them teasing Blitzgreymon is what makes this the potential for like the real awful episode next week.
Okay, now it's time for the real thing. Do you think they actually are teasing Blitzgreymon, or do you think they just hit the point where they have to start showing Digimon outside of the show rather than just their guest stars, and that's the one they've decided to go for?
I think they're teasing it because usually it shows up in that episode. There are plenty of other Digimon they could have made the the little eye catch at the end, like Vetamon or.
But that's what I mean.
Marine Angewomon.
But you're right. But they've already covered they've already kind of covered all of the Digimon.
Yeah,
in the evolution
and with stuff like
line so far. So it's like they're gonna run out eventually.
Yeah, and with stuff like Marine Angewomon, we're already past Marine Angewomon, and Vatamon feels like it's meant to be mysterious, so telling us when there hasn't been a fight or a thing with them might. So at this point, it's basically
Vetamon will come back when the Vetamon cult shows up again, which I think it will.
Yeah,
it has to.
So now it's time for the.
I honestly think the Vetamon.
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
Okay, so do you think
I was going to say the Vetamon cult is probably what was responsible for putting Tailmon inside Dark Knightmon to begin with. So
I
think
I feel like realistically they've told us it was, because they specifically said that Dark Knightmon was born and put together specifically to bring back Millenniumon.
Yeah, I think you can connect those dots. So that's why I'm not frustrated they haven't just explained that more fully.
Fair enough. So, do you think we see Blitzgreymon, don't see Blitzgreymon, or do we get some sort of twist like energy Blitz Greymon, or just some sort of armor for War Greymon that looks like Blitz Greymon, or some sort of call out where it's not Blitz Greymon but it's close enough.
I'm hoping for legitimate Blitz Greymon just so I can absolutely tear this next episode a new one. I am ready for some D's and F's here.
See, and you'd still give it a C, because I've seen the grades you've given on episodes you claim to hate.
Well, yeah, but
I mean, you've only even given like one or two.
For the series if they have to resort. No, I've only given one D, but if they have to resort to Blitz Greymon to make the ISS situation remotely entertaining, then yeah, they've stooped to a new low there. So I'm excited for the possibility. I'm stingy with my bad grades. They have to earn them, and this would do it.
You'll have bad internet next week, coincidentally, when it's time to discuss Blitz.
I hope not. I'd love to. I sometimes have more fun tearing at a new one. We've had a couple good episodes in a row.
And you've still been trying to tear at a new one.
I'm ready to punch
times
again.
Poorly. Like Saturday night, you were angry in the chat. You were like ranting. It's like, AR, you can't rant when you're like sitting there going, well, this episode was a B. And then you rant about it for half an hour.
But again, that's sort of the frustration we're talking about. Like, it was a B episode, but everything that could have potentially brought it into an A and potentially had future episodes getting into A territory were all contained in this one. And so they basically settled for a B when they could have had 3 A's. That was my frustration with this episode.
Fair enough.
It could have been so much better, but you failed.
Yeah.
That's the catchphrase for Frontier.
That's the catchphrase for every season, to be honest.
Pretty much. And then... Yeah, and... So basically, good episode, could have, should have, and feels kind of easy that it could have been better. And we'll see what the hell is going on next week when we finally get to deal with Koshiro's situation. Because we've been reminded of that week by week for quite a while now. So we'll see what pops up. Yeah. And then model kits. They announced Digimon right as we were doing the show last week, and Digimon's interesting because it's I think it's the only other actual prototype we saw from Reboot. The rest were art samples, and this one's completely new. It's not based on that old prototype mold. Looks very nice, and it's both stereotypical and true to say it looks very Asmaria-like, doesn't it? Which helps since he is the person in charge of the design. You got everything.
It has Asmaria all over this.
Yeah, minus the lack of green gems, and it even has the Asmaria hair. The little flappy thing at the top of the head. It feels like the Asmaria energy hair. But yeah, so this will be out in June. Price is actually pretty good at about $48 or so. I don't think I'm gonna get this. I'm betting you are though, Dev.
Yeah, because 1, it looks nice. 2, I really like Tamers, and 3, model kits are just really relaxing and zen to kind of work on.
Can we all just say
I'm kind of interested in this one. Like, I might even pick this one up, like, because like you said, I've been interested in maybe getting a model kit and giving it a try, because I haven't done a model since like high school. And Tamer's trash, so I got that going.
Can we point out how hilarious it is that it comes with a stand for the shield just so you can do action poses like in the one photo, where if he were to actually hold the shield, he would just tip over. So they've actually made a stand for the shield to hold it up while he's holding it. And then
it's considerate of them.
Yes. Yes, it's considerate of them to make sure the figure will not topple over holding the accessories. And then right after, they technically have not announced this yet. We get a Metal Groomon Black Figure Eye Standard Amplified Model Kit. No page on Bandai stuff for it yet, but their distributors clearly are selling it because stores are putting up pre-orders saying it's for June. No stores in Japan yet though, so I'm gonna go ahead and guess that later this month or early next month it'll show up as a premium Bandai one for Japan. That's what I'm guessing is going on here. Because it's not like Black War Greymon where you can slap the O2 logo on where he's recognizable as a villain from the show. They just throw on the claw thing they gave him, the energy claw thing. So I wouldn't be shocked if this was like just a premium Bandai repaint and it came with like art from. Was Asbury in charge of designing this one also?
I don't quite recall.
I think War Greymon was Asmaria and Kenji Watanabe. Metal Gurumon, I don't remember. Mugen Dramon was definitely Asmaria, so I'm gonna guess it'll be premium Bandai and it'll come with art or something.
Yeah, like a little Shikishi board or something.
Yeah. But that's open at various stores outside of Japan for $56. And Big Bad Toy Store, their dates are generally accurate. They're saying June. Stores in various countries have said anywhere from June to September, though, so it's a little hard to gauge, but June, we guess. And they finally decide to give us a slow week with cards. So we get Nightmon fighting Dark Nightmon, which everyone seemed to be really happy they were fighting, like shockingly so.
I really like when they have other Digimon like somewhere in the background or foreground of the cards.
So you're saying your favorite is the Digimon one?
Yes.
Where it's very clearly the introduction from Digimon World?
It's adorable and I love it.
Yeah.
It's like I've just been in like a Digimon World 1 mood for so long.
So has Booster Set 5. Then we get Tactimon doing Ichi no Tachi, his make an earthquake attack. He keeps getting such great art. Like it's almost strange to keep seeing the Cross Wars Digimon just completely show up, but it's nice. And then we get
because they made really good designs for those Digimon for that series.
And then, in honor of Wikimon, it's good old Picklemon. Although I think you finally did get them to change it to Piccolo, I think. Here it is. Piccolomon, and then the passive-aggressive officially named Picklemon under the name listing.
Yeah.
And then we get Palmon, which the Palmon art's great. Like, that's just really nice-looking artwork there. And then we get Catastrophe Cannon. The weird, like, pseudo anime but not quite anime art I really like, and for some reason that head design of Diablomon I feel like has shown up somewhere. Like, does that almost feel like how he was drawn in movie 4 a bit, where they made the head a bit elongated at a few points? Or was that just an artwork somewhere? Because I know I've seen that before with him.
Where he kind of like unhinges his jaw like a snake, kind of.
Kind of, but I even mean where, like, if you look at like where the nose would be, where it's a bit more elongated, and like the chin's a bit larger. I feel like we've seen that artwork in that style before, but I don't know where. Then Monochromon. A
little closer to like Armagemon proportions.
Yeah, I guess that makes sense. Then we get Monochromon in his shop from Digimon World, which not as cute as the one we saw last week, where he was just in the background like happy. And then we get the Triceramon art feels very American comic book, doesn't it? Where it's him battling Monochromon and Vermillimon.
Yep.
Although it feels like he's not quite as large in it as he could because they wanted to show off the other two Digimon, so they're sort of like Monochromon. Almost, if you move the camera a bit, he would be the main one on the card.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, and then from Psycho Jump we get Arata with basically his Digimon going past where they do in the game. And everyone gets nice new art except Arata himself, who gets the game art.
I mean, they kind of did that with the other.
Yeah. Oh yeah, absolutely. I'm trying to decide which one of these art new images I like the most. I feel like something about Infamon I really like in this one.
Well, probably because like the contrast of the colors with like the
Yeah,
pink background, kind of like more menacing.
Yeah, that's probably why. And then Card Battle did episode 17 where they split into 3 teams this time for a round robin, and the numbers were not even, so they just decided that Fun Digica is one person, which is an easy way to deal with it. And I really I know they were asking with the questionnaire lately. I would be far more predisposed to actually watching these all the way through if they had subtitles, because they always look nice when I'm screenshotting and figuring out what's going on during them. But I'm just kind of not interested in sitting through and watching without some sort of translation. So
yeah, it's like unless you actually know enough Japanese to like know what the hell is actually going on or the details, but it's just like, that one's playing a card game.
yeah, it's basically me going through and going, okay, what's going on here? Are there any cards to snapshot? We'll figure that out. And in a few vital bracelet updates, we got Mon Memo, which basically this time was detailing Boutmon and Shootmon. We got their reference book updates, and we even got an
I would
advertise.
not expect that design from that sprite.
Which one, Shootmon?
Yeah, it's kind of a lot crazier than I would have assumed.
Yeah, it does feel a bit more personality driven than the sprite did. Then they put up a little ad for the Vital Bracelet online, which was neat. And we're only, I think it was going to be the later half of March, so we're about a month and a half away, and we'll see. Now, did you end up pre-ordering any of them, Dev? I think you were considering, but I don't think you ever did you?
Nah, because one, money, and two, like I'm not entirely 100% sure of like the compatibility with the phone that I have.
Yeah.
So I'd rather be something like I can actively use.
Yeah. At this point, I believe you have an Android phone, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so basically, you would need to check to see if your phone has NFC, and then even if the app didn't come out here, you'd probably be able to sideload it. But NFC would be the big one if you want it to play nice with your phone.
Yeah,
So
that and dealing with like side-loading apps is just annoying.
yeah, but we'll see what pops up. In no place have they said they're bringing it west. They've made clear multiple times, even in Japanese only magazine interviews, that they're very aware how interested people outside of Japan are of it. So I don't want to call it hinting, but it feels like they have. Wouldn't you say?
They're probably going to see how well it sells locally, and then that'll give them more of a, it's like,
It
hey, is this worth it for us to,
might be smarter to move to a chipset that has Bluetooth for outside of Japan, though, because a lot of cheaper Android phones outside of Japan don't have NFC, and even some nicer ones don't. So we'll see. And then continuing the reference book stuff from Digimon Web. First up, Digimon Web updated the About Digimon page with not quite. I mean, it was machine translated before. It feels like they've heavily cleaned it up, if nothing else. This is the page that upsets a number of people who are convinced that Super Ultimate is a level. This is the one where it very, very specifically goes, the top level is Ultimate. That is at the pinnacle. There's nothing above that. And they have the little drawing of it showing it and everything. And the weird thing is if you hit the machine translation thing that they have built into the site, it actually swaps out the images for English ones, which is neat. So they're actually doing a bit more there than they claim to do. So hopefully we get more official English translations like that are done mostly decently, I think. It's not perfect, but it's actually pretty decent.
I mean, it's nice that they're actually like showing some effort and concern like towards other audiences.
Yeah. And then more reference book updates. We get the 2 ultimates from Rearise that have shown up in recent memory, Mitamamon and Lovely Angewomon, which we got her arc just last week and we got his a while ago, but reference books are updated. Nice that they're in there. And nice to be able to put up the nice artwork again, wouldn't you say?
At least no one's replaced the giant artwork with like little tiny 300 pixel versions yet.
Well, I think the weird rule thing got loopholed because they put up the reference book and then a moment later when they tweeted about it, it had the high resolution, which made that the newest one. The swapping out of art on Wikimon often seems to be based on whatever's newer, and I think technically that one's newer by like 1 minute. Hooray.
Good, one less problem for me to deal with.
And then speaking of art, the episode art for every episode is always so. For episode 35, we get social art first, which is Angewomon doing Holy Arrow. And I'm not wrong. I don't think she actually struck the pose in the episode, did she?
No, not at all. She just
that's what I
whipped her
thought.
arm out and then did like,
Yeah.
oh, you got hit with a pink thing, and that was it. It was sad. I was disappointed.
Yeah. And then Kenji Watanabe did his art, which I'm trying to decide if she's like getting ready to charge up the arrow or if it's just, hey, look light.
Looks like she's about to just like punch the shit out of you.
Like, to me, it kind of looked like the arrow was sort of growing out of her arm thingy, like it does. But it's hard to tell. But
she's gonna slap.
Yeah. But yeah, his art for every episode. See, I kind of want to go back and see if for the first few episodes if we just missed it, because I think he started with episode 4 when it came back from hiatus. I don't think he was doing them originally, was he? Or did we just?
I do not believe so.
Yeah, I need to check because if he did, the entire fandom just missed it somehow. So we'll see.
That's unlikely.
It is unlikely, but it does occasionally happen where everyone's so focused on stuff they just miss stuff, which it occasionally happens. And then we have questions, so those in the chat, feel free to toss those up. We'll start with the ones that were sent in ahead of time. So first up, someone wanted to know, with more model kits being announced, do you think they'd bring back the lost reboot molds? So the weird thing is we don't actually know if any other reboot molds were finished, because we saw Dukemon, but we only ever saw like a prototype on display, which could have just been like a single piece. I don't know if we ever knew if that was an actual like model kit. And then the other two,
it was in grayscale, so
no, we saw that in full color.
Oh, okay, I was thinking of the other Dukemon then.
We originally did see the Dukemon in grayscale, but later on it was on display in full color. We think it was probably hand painted and not like professional.
Mass produced.
Yeah. So we don't know if that was an actual like prototype model kit that got painted or if that was just like a single piece for display. So we don't know if there's an actual mold or even if it would still exist. We know the Omegamon one does because they're still fucking using it. Like, yeah, because Figure Rai Standard Amplified Omegamon is maybe 90-95% the reboot kit. Like the thing on it, the waist spike things are definitely different. And they did tweak a few other things, but generically, it's that kit. And then Angemon and Devimon, I don't think we ever saw outside of art, did we?
No, there was literally only just like the little tiny preview. It's like, hey, these are other ones in the line, and nothing ever came of that.
Yeah. Yeah, and the funny part is we actually know the Omegamon sold decently because they were reprinting that with no difference for years. They started doing variants of it. To the best of our guess, it looks like they just decided to do other things with the brand, so that one came out, and then they reprinted it for 10 years before deciding to do more. So it's actually a weird case where we know it didn't tank because they kept doing the same. They did a clear one. Did they ever do any other repaint colors of it? I feel like once they did one without any color at all. I think. Like I vaguely recall
Nah, I
that.
think it was just like just
The
the
translucent.
clear plastic. Mm-hmm.
Okay. Yeah, I might be thinking of a prototype of the figurized one. Maybe we saw that at some point because I could swear I remember seeing it without any color. Let's see if there's any in the chat yet. Okay, not yet. Next one was from Yumi. Yumi wants to know how much would we each pay for a precious gem Commandomon, and what other Commandomon merch would we like to see? The example they sent was Commandomon slippers. So if you're talking about precious gem, it feels like it'd have to be something grand and like have the kids on it and be cartoonishly expensive, like the precious gem Naruto of Kurama, which was $1,000.
Yeah.
That
yeah, I wouldn't go with a precious gem for Commando. I would go
a
for
plain
like a
gem.
pillow.
Oh, see, that'd be good. Yeah, a plush feels like the obvious one. But for like, if you were gonna go for a precious gem, though, what is the most you would pay if one showed up and like was nice and you wanted it?
I wouldn't want a precious gem of Commandomon because those are, hard plastic and not fluffy.
Yeah, for me it'd be
around like 200.
For me it'd be what kind of detailing is on, because I feel like Commandomon by himself wouldn't be fun. You need like, even if it's non-removable little figures, or like maybe you can see faces in the glass on the front or something.
Like I mentioned, like before the show started, I'd probably like little Hikari and Tailmon like sitting next to him, like he was, when they're outside the little ocean thing.
Yeah, that'd be a good one. But yeah, I'd probably say if it was really nice, maybe 2 or 250. But I think I'm kind of on AR's side where it's a character that's made to be a plush of some sort. So
it needs to be cuddly.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah. And then Ramon wants to know, are we happy to see Chikurimon be more involved and explain than last time? I have to be honest, until someone mentioned it, I didn't even remember he had shown up before. It's not a character that I was sitting there going, oh man, Chikurimon's back, and they kind of said something about him for a few seconds. I don't even remember where he showed up before, to be honest.
This is the first time I've ever heard of Chikurimon.
I was like, hey, neat, it's that one.
I've seen multiple people say that he showed up in the show before, so he must have shown up.
That means it was Cross Wars. Whenever we can't remember when a Digimon showed up before, it was Cross Wars.
Let's see, and you are correct. It was to support Mad Leomon.
Oh, that's not where I would have expected them to show up, but okay.
Yeah. Hey, it's a little mime bastards. Pachoo.
Yeah. See, I thought people said he showed up earlier in Adventure, but Cross Wars makes sense. And then, let's see, next up we have from Corito. How long before we expect to see Omegamon Alter S? Episode 50.
Your guess is as good as mine, dude.
I'm going to say episode 50. AR is using that connection problem to his advantage to not comment.
You know when it's going to show up? Like
when?
The week before pre-orders open for the figure.
Yeah, right before Precious Gem Omegamon Ultra S, and it's in the pose from the show, and it has anime-style box art that they... that's what it's going to be. And then someone wants to know, if they did put Atmon in Digimon overall, who do you think would be the first Atmon to show up in something? I mean, I understand why this is a question to ask, but I don't think there's any question. It's Gatchmon or a Gatchmon evolution. I don't think there's any question there that it'd be Gatchmon. It doesn't mean for a fact it is, but I don't think... Is there any actual answer beyond Gatchmon or one of his evolutions?
Offmon, maybe.
Maybe. But it feels like it'd just be Gatchmon, just like a card or standing around in a scene somewhere. Or something along those lines. We'll give you guys one more chance for questions in the chat. So, Dev, any products coming up that you're looking forward to?
I really, really, really want that Black Metal Gurumon. That's about it, really.
Yeah, we're in a very small lull in products before, because they've kind of lulled it on purpose because the Vital Bracelet's coming out. And then
yeah, well, that and they were like constantly releasing cards and everything, so
yeah,
it's like give us a couple of paychecks
yeah,
to recover.
See, it's weird because I don't get the cards and I don't really have any interest in this card game. So to me, mentally, it's just art, art, art. So in my brain, it's almost not like a ongoing product. It's just looking at new art until a set ends and then more sets.
Like, small pretty pictures.
Oh, and Ramon says that Chikurimon was an adventure. It was in Eldoradimon when they started going through him.
I thought that was the Mamemon.
No, I think they mean when they started entering him like the castle.
Oh, okay.
So he apparently did have a small appearance. AR, if your internet is working, I believe you had plugs.
Back.
Quick AR, do your plug while you have internet.
Oh, yeah, I was gonna say based on last week's conversation about the brother-sister relationship, someone
Yeah, you're completely breaking up.
asked me to rank all of them, so I'll be doing that this week on Tumblr.
For those who didn't hear, he's going to be ranking all the sibling things on Tumblr, which I believe is what he said, but he was kind of breaking out. I believe that's what you were saying, though, AR. So look forward to that on his Tumblr. And Dev, before we ask you your important question, we have an even more important question. Yesterday was the Super Bowl. Why is Terry Bradshaw not yet on Wikimon?
It wasn't the Super Bowl. It was Superb Al Sunday, which is a completely separate thing.
And 20 years ago was the first Digibowl. Or, as you would like to put it, Digibal.
Exactly.
So why is he not there yet? He was a Digimon protagonist longer than Takato was. He's earned it.
I'll think about it.
Dev, what Wikimon article would you like people to read this week?
Animalakarimon. And no, I'm not going to spell it for you. That is your challenge.
Just like be mushmouth and just... And that's correct. I can be found with the will. As always, we will catch you guys next time, hopefully with AR having functional internet. Bye.
Bye.